Oh boy, patch 1.09. Let's go.
Hey everybody, TheKoop here. Elden Ring patch 1.09 had just dropped last night. I'm going to try and do the quick summary. We're going to be skipping over some of the parts, but we're going to be focusing on some others. If you guys want to be able to look at the detailed frame data for yourself, please head over to erframedata.nyasu.business. This is a website run by Amelia or Soviet Spaceship. It has all of the data, and you can compare between the most recent patches as well, so you can discover all of the frame data yourself. So all the frame data that I'm going to be talking about specifically comes from this website and my comparison of the two. Ray tracing is now available on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and PC. This is really great. Unfortunately, this has meant a general PC performance issues. What I've heard is that people on NVIDIA systems have been reporting even more frames per second drops than previously. So that's obviously really frustrating. It feels like the PC version is continually lacking stability. But ray tracing is now in the game, so hopefully they'll be able to fix some of those stability issues. And for those of you with beastly setups, you're going to have a really beautiful version of Elden Ring to look at. Inescapable Frenzy, Incantation Power, and Grab Angle have been increased. Hopefully this is enough of a buff that this can basically one-shot most people, because Inescapable Frenzy is one of the hardest to land spells in the game, and its damage currently is pathetic. So I would really like to see a significant power buff here. But any buffs to it at this point I think are really good. Lifesteal Fist skill power, range, and grab angle have been increased. In the same vein, definitely is needed. I actually think Lifesteal Fist is the thing to experiment with, because there are two other buffs that we'll get to that have increased the amount of damage that Lifesteal Fist will do, including this. So we'll look at that later. Decrease the power of two-handed jumping attacks. Now, this is a fun translation error, as this likely means power stance to jumping attacks as opposed to like two-handing a single weapon. This likely means dual wielding, which is frustrating because we have tested and it seems that jumping attacks when power stancing or dual wielding have had a damage reduction. So that's really annoying, and we're just going to have to continue testing damage on that, but that's what it seems to mean. Decrease the power of heavy and heavy running attacks of fist and claw weapons. This is good. They needed to be brought in a little bit. I would have liked to see a compensation buff for them somewhere, but I think this is good overall. Decrease the power of Founding Rain of Stars. This doesn't make any sense. This is one of the most nonsense things in this patch. Founding Rain of Stars is terrible and did not need a nerf at all. Decrease the spell enhancement effect from Terra Magica. This is good. Magic is too powerful in Elden Ring PvP right now. This is not how I would target it. I would target spells like Comet and Night Comet personally, but this is fine as well. Buff stacking seems to be one of the things that they're kind of targeting in this patch, as you'll see. Decreased damage and poise damage from Wave of Gold. Oh, this is so good. Waves of Gold has really seen a resurgence since the Colosseum patch, and so the damage and poise damage nerf at a certain distance is very good. Decreased effectiveness of Determination or Royal Knight's Resolve. I've been saying that these need to be nerfed for a long time, and I'm really glad to see that they're nerfed. We'll have to see exactly how much they're nerfed by, but just having something that says, hi, I do 80% more damage because I hit L2 is bad for the game, just period. So I'm glad that these are getting nerfed. Decrease the effects of Contagious Fury skill of Jellyfish Shield. Again, it seems like buff stacking is something that they're targeting in this patch, so makes sense. That's good. Decreased effectiveness of Claw Talisman. Again, same thing here. You can see where this is going. Decreased effectiveness of Lord of Blood's Exaltation. Very good. Way too powerful in PvP currently. Decrease the attack power buff by White Mask. Same thing. Very good. Decreased jumping attack buff from Raptors. Very good. Decreased buff from all of the Shrouding Crack tiers. Very, very good. All very good overall. Just decreasing those massive buff stacking one-shot builds. The less one-shots that happen in PvP, the better that 1v3 is for invaders. So this is all just good news for you invaders out there. Added an invincibility window when respawning in the Colosseum. This is very good, especially in 3v3s. There was a problem of getting spawn killed and spawn trapped, so this is just going to help with that. They should have had this at launch. This is a huge oversight that they didn't have it earlier. So this is a weird one for me. I think this to me, this line of text, I think is the most defining of the entire patch. Increase the scaling of the following attributes when infusing weapons with certain Ashes of War: Magic, Fire, Flame Art, Lightning, Sacred. So generally speaking, the elemental damage infusions on, let's say, a greatsword or something, you have your Claymore and you put fire on it, or heavy, 99% of the time, heavy was better. So increasing the scaling on these things is really, really good. What this also means is that Misericord, when like usually what you would do is lightning infused Misericord or magic infused, like whichever one, just because the multiplication worked out. So now elementally infused Misericord is now going to deal even more damage. So backstabs and parries from Misericord are now going to do even more, like astronomically more amounts of damage. So I'm curious to see how that shapes up the meta. Increased attribute scaling on all of these weapons. So Colossal Swords, Great Axe, Hammer, Flail, Great Hammer, Colossal Weapon. Very good. They're just going to benefit more from scaling. It's just good overall. They need more damage, period. Increased speed, range, and recovery time of some of the attacks of the following weapon types. Great Hammer, Great Axe, Great Sword, Curved Great Sword. This is good. These are all very underpowered weapon classes and they deserve more buffs. Frankly, they need even more than they have currently. Flail weapon changes, increase the speed of some attacks, reduced attack recovery time, increased poise damage when using two-handed attacks. Overall, what this has been is about 1 frame improvement in all categories, and then also added hyper armor to the two-handed attacks. So flails have gone from F- tier to E tier. Flails are not meta, they're not good, they just moved up a single tier to actually being usable now, which is really cool. They deserve it. Increased running attack speed and reduced attack recovery time for the following weapon types. Straight sword, curved sword, katana, twin blade, axe, hammer, halberd. So what's weird about this is that this seems to be targeting specifically the running R2s of these attacks. If you look at the frame data, it seems that the running R1s on all of these are all the same, and the running R2s have been improved by about a frame. So a pretty minor buff, and also not described very well. So there's going to be a lot of that in this patch, by the way. Increased fist attack speed. Increase the first attack speed for the following types: straight sword, curved sword, and whip. This is another one that's really weird, is whip has seen a 1 frame buff on the first attack over on all of its attacks, whereas straight sword and curved sword only got buffs on their two-handed movesets. So it's weird that they're being grouped together despite the frames not being buffed in the same way. Very weird. So whips have had a 1 frame overall. Straight swords and curved swords have a 1 frame in their two-handed form. So the big winner of this patch is your two-handed Shamshir with Cragblade is right back into the meta, baby. It is fast and furious and ready to poise break you and do a lot of damage. Increased attack speed of guard counters. That's good, but guard counters are bad. Don't use them. Reduced attack recovery time for whips. Again, good. Not enough to push them into the meta, but just enough to make them a little bit better. Increased damage of claw weapons. This is good because claws have been bad overall, especially compared to fists right now. And this will also, because the claws now have higher AR, that means that Lifesteal Fist does more damage. So Lifesteal Fist is now better. Gonna skip over some of these things. Increased effectiveness of Twin Blade Talisman. Twin Blade Talisman is very, very, very bad. And I was joking with Prod that even if they doubled the effectiveness of Twin Blade, that it wouldn't be good. So I'm curious to see how they buffed Twin Blade, but I don't think it will be enough unless they more than doubled its effectiveness, to be honest. Slightly reduced rolling travel distance for light equipment weights. This is really, really important and really good. Light rolling has been such a problem since 1.08, and what this basically just means is that you can actually roll catch people who are light rolling now, which is really, really important for PvE. It also just makes PvE not completely broken as well, because like the light rolls on 1.08 were literally just as good as old Bloodhound Step and didn't cost any FP, which is insane. Decreased hitbox for some of the following weapon types: thrusting sword, heavy thrusting sword, spear, great spear, and halberd. Perfect. This is a great way of nerfing all these things without necessarily hitting their damage. It seems that the dual wielding jump attacks that spears and specifically great spears really like to use, or great spears and halberds specifically like to use, has been nerfed as well earlier in PvP. So great spears and halberds should be kind of taken down a peg here. So I don't think this is enough to remove the dual wielding great spear as the top of the meta, but I would like to see it. I would really like to see more of a nerf to the dual wielding great spear thingamajig. Ash of War adjustments. Lifesteal Fist, increased target grab range. So this is the third buff of this patch that you'll note that is making Lifesteal Fist better. So Lifesteal Fist is definitely worth experimenting with in PvP. You'll be seeing a bunch of videos of me doing that really soon. I don't know that this Ash of War needed a buff. I mean, in my opinion, this needed a nerf, so... But maybe increasing the projectile generation speed prevents, like, the projectiles come out faster, and so the true combo is disabled? Maybe? Like, something about the timing? I don't know. We'll have to mess around with that. This is actually such a big dub. Spinning Wheel, this is the weapon art for Giza's Wheel. Increased attack generation speed and added a roll and heavy attack cancel timing. So you can now roll and heavy attack out of your chainsaw move, which is really cool. Fixed the bug where Roar Medallion didn't increase the power of some incantations. What I've seen initial reports on this being is that this is referring to all of the dragon incantations, particularly I believe Grail's Roar. Will now likely be buffed by Roar Medallion, because that's the only one that those are the only ones that really make sense. So that's cool, actually. Like, I think Grail's Roar is a pretty underutilized, maybe not underutilized, but it wasn't very good. So I'm glad to see that it's getting a little bit more of a buff. Improved stability in Coliseum matchmaking, that's very good. Coliseum matchmaking has been a disaster. People who have been looking at the code have basically said that it's a complete dumpster fire, the way that it matches people together. We did a charity event recently, raising money using the Coliseum, and it was an absolute gong show. So better matchmaking is very, very, very good. That makes me want to go back and try the Coliseum again. This is the biggest change for me personally on this patch. Fixed the bug related to level correction when an invader used the Phantom Bloody Finger. For those of you who didn't know, if you would invade someone and use the Phantom Bloody Finger to respawn, every time you would use it, it would completely break all of the Phantom scaling towards you. So let's say there was an overleveled Phantom level 700, you're level 40. If you use the Phantom Bloody Finger, when you respawn, they're going to deal full damage to you as if they were level 700 and you were level 40 with no downscaling involved. So obviously that's super broken. What we're hoping, and this is going to require more testing, is that what they had to do in order to fix this has fixed all of the scaling overall. We're not totally sure, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Hopefully, this means bigger downscaling support, and that the downscaling works better overall in the game. And it's not specifically stated on here because they don't really name glitches the same way we do. But it seems that likely this bug here where it says a bug where status buildups were unintentionally added to some weapon skills, that they have fixed the Blood Flame Blade Fire's Deadly Sin combo, also known as the IGN glitch. The IGN glitch, as far as I've heard, reported from multiple other people. I haven't tested this myself, but I've heard it reported that the IGN glitch is now gone from the game, which is super awesome. But this also likely means that one of my favorites, which is Blood Flame Blade on the Prelate's Charge, is also probably out of the game now as well. Which is fine. I will definitely take that trade. Okay, and that's my super quick overview. Over the next coming days, we're going to be playing with this. We're going to be testing it and seeing how the patches are really impacting the game. If you guys have any other questions, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks for listening and have a good one.
Hello, Tarnished. Consider clicking that like button and absolutely annihilating that subscribe button because TheKoop is based. Ranny out.